Hi knitters, I'm going to show you how to cast on stitches in the middle of a row. Perfect for big buttonholes or secret pockets. Come and join me. So sometimes you'll need to cast off and cast on stitches in the middle of a row, mostly for a buttonhole. And so I'm just going to show you how to do that. We're going to cast off a few stitches in the middle of this swatch and then come back and cast them back on again. This is Paintbox Simply Chunky in mustard, and these are 6mm needles. Now don't be put off by the fact that they're circular. I'm just using them because they're nice and short rather than with big long needles. So I'm just using them like normal straight needles. So I'm going to just knit along to the place where, say for example, your pattern will tell you to cast off some stitches for a buttonhole. So say we're about here. I'm going to cast off 4 stitches here, just in a regular way. So we knit one and lift a stitch over, 2, 3, 4, and then those stitches cast off, I'm going to knit to the end of the row. Now the principle for this is exactly the same whether you're working just in a garter stitch and knit stitch like I am here, or in a stockinette or stocking stitch. So I'm going to turn around, and so I'm going to knit back up to this little gap to cast on some stitches to cover that hole. So I'll just work to that next point. Now the most secure way, I think, to create some stitches to go over the top here, especially with a buttonhole because it needs a bit of, something quite strong, is to use the cable cast on, which sounds much more complicated than it actually is. So step 1, we turn the work round onto the wrong side. Okay. So there's the working yarn on that left hand needle. And then we're going to create some new stitches over here on the left hand side. So to cast on using a cable cast on, instead of doing a knitting cast on where you cast on using the stitch that way, we go in between these 2 stitches. So I'm going to just put my needle in between those 2 stitches, bring the yarn around, under, and then just slide it round and pick it up onto the end of the needle. So I'm going to do that again, this time on these 2. So I'm going to put my needle through the cable, through those 2 stitches there, a little bit of a wriggle, yarn around, bring it through, and then just come on to put it onto the end of that left needle again. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, going to do 1 more. So I put the needle in between the 2 stitches, yarn over, bring it underneath, and then pop it onto the needle. So you can see there, we've got 4 stitches that we've cast on onto this left hand needle. Now remember, we're on the wrong side, so we're going to switch back again. Turn the work round, and you'll see that those 4 stitches are now on your right hand needle. So we can just carry on knitting to the end of the swatch. And so as you carry on knitting, as soon as we've got to the end of the row, I'll just show you. Now what you've got are these extra stitches that you've cast on right bang in the middle of the row. So then we will work back as normal. So just whatever your pattern requires, whether you're purling back or you're knitting back, when you get to these new stitches, you'll see that they can be quite tight. Don't worry about that. Just knit them as normal. Whoops. There he is there. That first little one, a little bit tight there. And then the next one, the next one, the next one. And then just work to the end. So you just knit them like normal stitches, or work them along with whatever your pattern says. And there we have casting on in the middle of a row. So that is how you cast on stitches in the middle of a row. See, it wasn't that hard really, was it? Leave me a comment, tell me what you think. And if you'd like to learn other new knitting techniques, don't forget to subscribe.